Hello everybody, welcome to Trash Comps. We are going to be doing a poison team today centered around our boy Tholes. Tholes is about the only one who has anything to do with poison, but to make it work we are going with Mulaka because there's a shadow poison combo that's kind of neat to do. Though shadow damage will not be the focus of the run, it will be helpful. Heiner and Bree are here. Bree's here for supporting, Heiner's here for tanking. Let's start the video. Get going. So briefly I'm going to show over the perks. I went for a bit of a Thorns build because I wanted to see if Bree could get enough Thorns to apply poison as well. She's not going to be super tanky, but she's going to provide a lot of block as well as powerful and draw. Here's Tholes. Tholes has Sharp, making sure he gets actual damage on his Shadow from Sharp. So it's a nice perk to have. Means that his level 2 will benefit greatly off of the Sharp, which we'll see in a moment. I also had to make sure that we had Dark as poison because I think that's the more fun way to do it. If we're going with a full poison team, we're going to need that. This isn't meant to be the fastest killing team. This is probably like a round 3 or 4 kill for each team. Or basically, we're looking at like greats, goods, and sometimes excellence. I wanted to prioritize getting Leonti here because Leonti seems like a pretty good buy. And I have some decks, or some deck ideas, but again, I need to make more of the decks. Specifically Tholes, I haven't built a poison deck since, like, I don't know, one of my first acts, like one of my first runs. Not done it in quite some time, so I'll be a little bit rusty at that. Heiner I did also want to make from scratch because I think I can make a better deck. I think I forgot to save it though. Man, I really liked the deck I made for Heiner in the beginning. Very solid. For Tholes, we're going to be keeping some Toxic Rains, probably, some Poison Darts, other things that apply poison. Uproot is very useful to have against Yelmer because it gets rid of all his thorns, so it'll allow us to attack into him a little bit easier if we draw it on the right turn, which is never a guarantee. Poison Darts, I'm planning to keep a few of them in the deck for the entirety of the run, but it's hard to say how many will stick, so I'm not upgrading all of them right away. It's not a huge upgrade even if you do, so not much point. I'm going with Poison Dart over Shiv because Poison Darts apply a little bit more poison instead of doing a little bit more damage. And I figure that'll be nice. Otherwise, I should be prioritizing getting a little bit of Chant of Accuracy on Tholes. That would have been better than the thing I just bought, which was Setup. Setup's not a bad card, especially because we're going to have a lot of zero cost, but that would have been better to get Act 2. Heiner can get Sunder Armor upgraded so that he can target anyone to have vulnerability. I'm now noticing that I needed Chant of Accuracy. I was like, man, that should have happened. I'm not upgrading Dual Strike, even though it would be better upgraded, simply because I am planning to get rid of it, and so I'm trying to save as many shards as possible. Though I do want to get rid of a Viper Strike that can only target the front. The reason I upgraded the other Viper Strikes is because I want them to be able to target anything. And we can go. So first fight, we have a little bit of poison, which is nice. That's starting poison from Tholes, and then we have a little bit extra poison damage from the Dark that Mulaka applies at the start, so pretty good already. And you can see we have like a good amount of damage on the Pig and the Farmer. Everything takes like pretty good damage. Mulaka is able to pop the Farmer immediately, which is really good because the Farmer likes to dispel, so that's one of our key targets early game. And Heiner is going to tank pretty well. He had a bunch of taunt and survived all the block, though he has 26 bleed on him. He's fine though, he can take it. He's a huge tank. Even with that 26 extra damage, he will still have way more HP than Tholes and Mulaka. Not that they're the gold standard or anything, but it should be good. I don't have a particular route in mind in Route 1, so I didn't really like search for anything. I did notice Hard Work was up here, so it makes sense to just go for the Hatch, where we can get a powerful plus energy card in everybody's deck. I do take an early Meteor because I'm like, hey, like this is probably manageable, and if it's not, like I'll just do another run. It's a little bit of a risk, to be honest, but I figured it was a cool chance to get 500 golden shards. Like, I don't get a lot of options for money all the time, so runs that do get money options, it's very nice to take them when you can. Heiner does a good job blocking and tanking, so I figured we might be okay. However, a lot of the meteors are going Mulaka's way, and it's getting pretty dicey. I need to kill them a little bit faster, which is not Poison's specialty. So, a little bit risky of a run right here. As long as I can get the 2 more down before they do Meteor, it should be pretty okay. And again, another Meteor going Mulaka's way. I'm glad I blocked for her. It's really, really challenging to heal up damage for this team currently because Mulaka's our only heal, and it's not a lot in the early game. She's not applying like a ton of Dark all the time. So the team's gonna get a bit battered, which we would not have gotten battered if we had no Meteor. However, I took that into account, and honestly, a little bit of damage for a big pile of golden shards, very worth it. Definitely something I enjoy having. So I'm not going to complain too much. I look at Coat of Arms, I'm not sure if it's correct. I take an upgraded Steel Skin because I do plan on upgrading Steel Skin and keeping it in my deck for most of the game. It's not too bad. There's our Captured Pig. We do get a few injuries, but that's okay. It's always a problem getting injuries. Unless you have Cornelius, then you can get in here without injuries. But I like to make sure we go through this hatch. It's just worth it. Pig fight, generally not a problem for most teams. Not a problem for this team either. Teams that it is a problem for, it's a little bit worrying early on, but sometimes they get better. Helping Hands, I do like having 3 in Bree's deck early. It's a nice 0-cost energy card. I thought about taking another Clarity on Mulaka or Detoxify, but decided against it. Didn't really feel it was necessary. We're doing pretty fine on our own, though I do have a global Toxic Rain poisoning us sometimes, so might have been nice to take, to be honest. Let's see. Yeah, priority targets here, it's hard to say. I don't want to attack into the Corn's powerful, or rather into its buff where it gives monsters 2 HP and powerful to everybody. So I'm keeping off of that and trying to focus down the rest of the army. Did take the blob out, which was good. Spawned on the front enemy, very nice for me. So wasn't too difficult of a fight, other than probably taking a little bit more damage than we would have otherwise, but the reward is fairly worth it. I think this is a free card remove. I like totally missed it when I first entered. Sometimes the footage is so sped up that even I have a hard time following what's going on. But I'll try to keep the commentary going pretty well. Another Helping Hand for Hydra, pretty good. Thought about taking Sunder Armor for Bree, but opted against it because I really want to keep the decks thin as much as possible. And I do take the Helping Hand. Yep, we get a free card remove, so there goes our Broken Bones. Very nice early on. So really good, what's it called? Challenges so far, or challenge rewards. Big pile of money, free card remove on a card that we definitely need to get rid of. Though we do have a Cleric, so it's not the end of the world. Like, we would have been getting rid of that pretty quickly afterwards. Pretty good though. Good start. Lucky start with getting some Helping Hands too. It's always nice to have a little bit of extra draw, especially because Tholes is going to need that draw with all his 0-cost cards. I didn't opt for a Inspire that gives 2 draw instead of, but you can only have 1 maximum. I just didn't want to limit myself on Inspire for the entirety of the run. I thought maybe I'd be getting more somewhere down the line. Honestly though, I probably could have taken it on probably, I'd say Bree, because Bree's always going first. So she does need to dig through her deck a little bit. It's a little bit awkward, but she can get battle plans and stuff, so she's actually one of the best at drawing, especially with her passive skill. Although one of the reasons that you want to draw and Inspire on Bree is so you can get her level 2 block card right away. Otherwise, you can be in some trouble because she doesn't provide that much block on her own. Bellafor is not too challenging, except for the fact that he does have imps that like to explode themselves, and he does put a lot of fire on us. However, we are pretty tanky at the moment, so I'm not worried, and we block fire damage with all our block from Hydra and Bree. Pretty good, solid stall team overall, which is part of the point. We want to have stall with poison. It's pretty good. And there we go, we got poison strikes, killing the imps, killing pretty much everybody straight away. Shield charge on Hydra, another nice opening. I want Wicked Craftsman on Tholes because I am planning to go the small weapons route, and now we do get our level up, which is pretty good. Hydra getting a little bit of extra block, Mulaka a little extra health. We're going Black Talons on Tholes, and I decided for the Yang Ritual on Mulaka. Sorry. Someone commented the other time and got mad at me for calling her Mulaka. I'll call her Maluka. like she's supposed to be called. I thought about taking Ashy Sky, but like it's because I really want the money and shards, but it's too risky for a rather slow team that can't have its deck filling up with bad cards too fast. Especially because I doubt we're going to be able to kill whatever monster has the Ashy Sky. So yeah, definitely a risk I wasn't willing to take. Generally I take it if I am confident I could wipe out any one target instantly. At this point in the run, that's a little bit dicey though. It would have been potentially possible depending on card draws. But yeah, see, we had them all survive in round 2. The Dryad doing Starfall hurts a lot. The, yeah, the heals that they get off of Sanctify also hurt a lot. But I'm happy to have a Wicked Craftsman, putting a good small weapon in the deck that costs 1 less permanently. Upgraded version will allow me to put 2 of those in the deck permanently, which is great because, yeah, we'll see later. I'll talk about it more in depth as I get into it. Didn't quite get Steel Forge, which would have made it so we took a lot less damage this fight, but that's okay. Can't always get it. Now we have a bunch of block though, right when we need it, where there's only 1 enemy left. So just try to heal up as much as possible. Not too worried because we have a lot of heal coming. Stone Skin I'm thinking about because I want to kind of go Thorns, but it's not really his deal to go Thorns. So I take Deflect, figure it could be good. Malaka could have healed us, or rather she could have gotten rid of a card there, but I was happy to take the heal and just be safe rather than risk it for more golden shards. It's arguable whether that was the right choice or not because we're pretty safe here overall. I'm not expecting to take too much damage unless there's like a really good challenge that we want to do. And we might have slowly healed up. I'm also not expecting Yoga to be too difficult of a boss fight, but I could be wrong. Yeah, the theme of this run is going to be taking a lot of challenges when I'm not really sure if it's safe or not, because I don't really know how powerful the team is. Here's a Talon's turn. So the idea behind Talons is we want a bunch of 0-cost weapons, and as much sharp as possible on Thul's so we get that extra damage. As you can see, he's able to take out 1 full health champion straight away, which is really solid. He'll be able to do even more if he gets sharp faster in the future. I'm planning to give both Heiner and Bree sharp cards so that we could sharpen him up. I'm also planning to have Thul's be able to sharpen himself with Sharpening Knife. I don't know why that sounded weird to me. Let's see. Plague Shot's an interesting range card. It does do dark and piercing damage, which I would both benefit off of sharp. Plus it applies poison and dark, which, you know, might go with the run, but it doesn't feel like it's the right card for me because it's going to be too expensive for the most part. I'm even planning to get rid of those Viper Strikes, those melee attacks, because I'm not going down a route that they're going to be cheaper. Instead, I'm going to go down the great route of applying 3 poison on hit, so that'll be great. Yoga does take a big chunk of damage straight away. It is nice to have a team that can block fully. What I mean by that is, like, we're not taking chip damage most fights, outside of like a little bit of bleed and statuses, and then Mulaka heals that. So we don't really get hurt, and we can kind of let enemies die if we need to. I thought I had enough to take out Yoga, so I kind of stopped playing cards, and then I realized that I actually didn't have enough to take out Yoga, and Bree's not going to do that damage, so whoopsie. They even speed themselves up and try to attack us more, though it's not a problem because we had over 100 block this early in the game. Thul's was unable to take him out either, which was really funny. Getting an upgraded Sharpening Knife here is really great. Also, a purple Wolfskin Cloak is great for Bree too. We have, that's 3 slow and 3 vulnerable on all monsters if she draws the Howl that it puts into her deck, as well as just giving her plus 10 HP and plus 10% resistances, which is very good for the early game. Simple Hat purple, thought it was better than the Frost Hat. Take Yoger's Cleaver on Thul's. A little bit of extra bleed might help, though I don't have any bleed perks. I can't believe I yet again failed the Bree, or sorry, not failed the Bree. I failed the heal right before Yelmer. That is just, man. I have such good percentages to succeed on that, and I kind of am hoping for a critical so we start even better health, but the failure really hurts because they start so fast. Yeah, anyways. We take more damage than we should have. Mulaka nearly dies. I don't even know if there's a way to save her for... Wait, yeah, how do I save her? She needs... Oh, she only needs a little bit more health. So if she can survive her 1 turn, like Bree can give her any vitality, that will keep her alive. And do we get it? Oh, we get a little bit of a heal. Bree draws her Inspire card that I think is just an Inspire for the entire team, but it is indeed a heal as well. So Mulaka survives, is able to start healing up the team. We're taking out the enemies a bit more slowly than I'd want to. We do have to survive a round 3 Moonfire, though I'm not too worried about it with this team, especially after we get Steel Forge or Bree's skill card, so because that gets the entire team up to about 100 block, which is what you want for Moonfire. We also get Healing Rain, so we can take away any fire that we wanted to right away, but there wasn't any. Yeah, pretty good. We're going to take it like a champ. We got Steel Forge as well, so now we can attack into his Thorns without too much trouble. I don't have my Purge Thorns anymore, but it's fine. Going down to 56 block, I should survive. He does dispel the poison, which is very, very annoying. Yelmer makes it... Yelmer is very good against poison and bleed builds, even more good against bleed because you can't make him bleed. It's a very frustrating fact. I don't know why he's like this. I wish there was another Act 1 boss to make it so that a pure bleed build felt a lot more viable, because like honestly one of the biggest hurdles is just Act 1. Fighting a dragon is also basically impossible. And it means that you have to rely on other sources of damage outside of like bleed and bleed scaling. So I don't know, like I'm not a huge fan of that as an Act 1 boss where we don't get a lot of choice. It means that there's just like a build that's way, 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 way harder than any other build in the game, simply because of a boss that you can't avoid. I don't know, feels a little bit wrong to me. Whereas I liked all the Act 1 or 2 and 3 bosses, because even though they counter certain things, it's your choice whether you want to go to them or not, whether you're feeling extra strong. Plus there's a little bit more you can do before meeting them to make your build work out. I thought about Fan of Knives there, but I didn't think it was going to be worth the upgrade cost, and it is a bit expensive. My goal is to play a lot of cheap cards so I can get on hits, though it is a multi-attack card as well, so I could keep that in mind. Here we go to Act 2. The main thing I wanted to do, like this is the only planned route I had, which was going down into the bottom and fighting the Spider Queen, because she has some very good poison related items. Here I want to take a little bit and buy some things. It's going to take me a second. I'm going to get Slimy, and then I'll show off what I have changed. The reason I'm getting Slimy is because I'm going to be able to get the upgraded Slimy by having a 200 gold with those going down the Lizardman path, going into the Spider Queen's lair, and then I have a bucket that I can use to get rid of the slimes and also get a slime, meaning I can make Breeze Slimy purple and apply poison and vulnerability to the entire team. And that's why I gave it to Bree rather than, to the people that have poison perks, because it's not that much extra poison even with the poison perk, so it would be a decent amount, I'm not gonna lie. Mainly I wanted the 2 vulnerability per turn on everyone rather than just 1 vulnerability. Plus Bree goes first, so it's always gonna stack when I want it to rather than giving it to Mulaka since Souls already has the spider. I was initially planning to get the purple spider because unfortunately they're in the same place as the slime. Or rather, you have to take a slightly separate route to get the spider versus the slime, so the purple slime is definitely better. I get Entrenched for Hydra. Here's the cards I'm showing off. Didn't upgrade Battle Shout. Made sure I have Piercing Howl and upgraded Intimidates. Went through my deck there really slowly, so now we're speeding it back up again. Yeah, it took a little bit to do the deck edits, but I think I went through all the decks just then if you want to see them. I am a little bit worried about getting silenced by this champion. I forget what she's called. It's a Lamia, right? Like, right? That is what she's called? I can't remember. It's possible that I could dispel the silence off of myself on Mulaka, but it would be pretty difficult. The Mixing Bowl, by the way, is really good. Definitely worth the replacement on Hydra because it's just a free card draw every turn. Plus it actually does some very useful stuff like dispel 1 or transfer 1 curse. I don't know. That's like an insane item to me. They had the meat bag that they initially released with yogurt, and then they introduced the mixing salad bowl, which is just incredible. Like, those 2 items are probably better than most potion slot items in the entire game, because a free draw per turn, especially after taking away the Inspire perk for turn 1, makes a huge difference. in your consistency. As you can see, I don't quite get the kill. She does get the silence off on all our heroes. Fortunately, Tholes is still able to act pretty well, and we can stack up the poison, get some kills there. The rest of the enemies aren't going to be able to do too much, even if Malaka can't attack. So yeah, you see, she's unable to dispel herself right there. I had to just call her Malaka again. Gosh, can I switch to calling her Maluka? I don't know if I can. Sorry. There's the Don't Scam Us, the Lizardmen get 200 gold, we get the Slime Pot and Hammer and Nails, so we can take the boat, we go down this way. Could go any route. There was the Sailor route where we go way up top too, but the Spider's Queen's Nest I feel like is mandatory on a poison run. Oh. Yeah. I had to adjust there for a second. Sorry about that. Here we get a purple throwing knife. A purple sharpening knife, which is pretty good. It means that we get up to 13 sharp straight away. As you can see, like, as a little bit of sharp goes a long way with those, especially with the powerful that Bree is able to put on us pretty fast. And the fact that that's not our main damage source even. We are relying on poison quite a bit here to carry us over a few different rounds. Like I said, around 3 or 4 team most of the time. I forgot to upgrade Toxic Grain, which I honestly should have done because I don't like poisoning the entire team. Not typically a good thing to do. There's our hidden weapon. Very good pickup for us. We want probably want like 2 or 3 hidden weapons by the end game, just so we can find a bunch of small weapons early on, and it gives us essentially more draw, more damage. It's one of the quintessential cards of a small weapons build, which I still think is the best poison build outside of like doubling poison up and stacking it, but that's not really viable on Madness 16 anyway. You can't do as much doubling, or rather there's not as much reason to do doubling because you can get up to 200 stacks by the end game very quickly. And that's the maximum you're allowed to have. There is some difficulty in deciding what time to use Black Talons. Generally you want to do it when you can have a lot of small attacks, but you don't always get the right turns for it. It does allow us to take out a Pyromancer, who's probably going to be doing the most damage. It would have been really bad if Hydra had to take all the fire damage after getting his shield completely purged by the front guy. I sometimes forget that he does that. He also purged Fortify, which is super annoying. Yeah, there's some very annoying enemies against your block tanks that are hard to kill. They're usually block tanks themselves. I don't know what the deal behind that is, but they usually just focus the front person who's tankier anyway, and Heiner is the tankiest guy in the game. Sorry, robot. The tankiest robot in the game. Does a pretty good job at it too. So Heiner is disarmed, unable to play attacks. Not his main role though, he gets up to 240 block. He probably could have gotten a kill there, honestly, if he could have attacked, but it's not a big deal. It means the rounds are just gonna probably go, instead of finishing round 4, we finish round 5. Unfortunately, the hatches are kind of annoying too. It's sometimes why you want to get rid of the spider first, but I opted to delay because I felt like the other targets were a bit more of a priority, a bit more damaging. And then a scarab shows up and the spider stealths. So at this point, round 5 is looking tenuous, and it's probably gonna be around 6 or something. The Noxious Fumes was another card that we added, by the way. I forgot to mention it earlier. Maybe you saw it in the deck when I went over the decks, but Malaka is scaling off of poison now with her damage. Getting an upgraded grinding wheel, an upgraded yellow grinding wheel is amazing. I don't know if I want Spiked Shield on Heiner, but I figured it might be fun to take. However, it's not really the best card. Anyways, now we have a much better way to get sharp up on either Malaka or Tholes very quickly, since Malaka will also benefit off of the sharp and shadow damage. That's part of the reason that we took her along with us. That and the poison stacks and darkness damage. Malaka's just very good overall. Violence is the perfect card for this. And normally, like, you get rid of all the Violences by the second act, and you just have Black Karmas because that's just a better way to do damage and apply dark. However, this is the one time where it seems very worth it to get that poison up. And it's a little bit of a spot slow too. Might be worth having a increased slow charges on Malaka, just to benefit from that a bit. We do have options for a yellow stockade, which is pretty good for Bree. Something that we can keep in the deck for probably the rest of the run. We level up before the spider fight, which is very nice. We get Venom, we get Dark damage, or sorry, dark application on hit for Mulaka, meaning she's going to be pumping out almost like double the amount of dark that she's been doing currently. I thought about taking that challenge right there. However, with the Seahorse both being immune to invulnerable and having the ability to make the entire team slow, I figured it'd be best if at least Bree could go first before we get hit by everybody. It didn't make too much of a difference in the long run, it feels like. However, yeah, you can see why I was worried. Like, Mulaka nearly died, and maybe without Bree's additional block and help there, we could have taken way more damage. So the Seahorse is usually the priority, though it's going to be very difficult to take out due to its immunity to vulnerability. Tholes might find a way, though. So we have those sharpening knives. I'm hoping to get Black Talons so we can maybe kill it this turn, because it's better that we kill it this turn than anything, but unfortunately, we had to focus the guy who was taunting, and at that point I knew we didn't have the damage to kill the Seahorse, so I killed the Lamia instead. Taking damage off the table is also usually really good, even if there's one guy who does more than the others, because if you can't kill him, then there wasn't much point in attacking him that turn. He's still going to get all his damage off. Still, we're a pretty tanky team, very resilient. One of the things I like about this poison group is we got the heals, we got the block, we got the support. It's a very like standard feeling team. And Tholes can be our main poison damage carry. There's the slime bait, so we do get slimy, purple now. So we're getting vulnerable every turn. Tholes even has a special interaction here where he takes out an enemy in the fight. We get an early grinding wheel, so he's got 12 sharp straight away. We even get sharpening knife early. And we have a lot of poison application. I do want to kill that spider, however I fail because he's just a little bit too fast and we get shackles for 2 turns on the entire team. The Spider Queen is no joke. She makes the fights very, very difficult since she gets to go first next round. Thankfully we get a little bit of a healing, but we don't have Steel Forge, so I was a little bit worried about taking too much damage. However, the poison wasn't very bad and we had just enough block. So at this point, we have to worry about getting hatches, too many hatches in our deck, and spawning spiders. So sometimes it's better not to draw too much, just in case. Unfortunately, the Spider Queen doesn't have a lot of poison on her at the moment either, so Biogas doesn't do that much damage. But Tholes is getting up there and sharp. He's got 24 now. More hatches coming. Stupid spiders that taunt make it hard to focus the Queen. They're taking away all the poisons. Hydra at least can get a kill here with his shield charge and Steel Skin. Even at like 7 Fortify, Steel Skin tends to be a really good card, but we have enough sharp to kill the spiders quickly, and Tholes just scaled up and out of his problem there. Death's Reach upgraded is very nice. I do want to make it cheap because I'm not going to have a lot of energy on the on Mulaka. A Throw Bolas as a pocket shackles is also very nice. And then I pick up a new item for the Poison Darkness run, which is pretty cool. I'd never seen Free Lover before, so I get kind of entranced by it. But we went here for Venom Fang and Chalice of Queens. Spider Queen Eye might be worth it if you had Nezglect, but I thought about taking Nezglect instead of Bree, and overall I realized that we were probably going to have enough poison application anyways by the end game, that it wouldn't have been necessary for him to have the turn sight also into poison. So that was my reasoning behind taking Bree instead of Nezglect. Otherwise, also seems like a totally fine choice. So does Gustav. Gustav fits that role very well. Any of those could have worked. One of the nice things too about having Hydra and Bree in combo like this is Bree will often not get slowed unless she's targeted specifically by guys who go after the fastest hero. And then if she does get slowed or shackles, Hydra's goes late enough or sometimes early enough to de-shackles her with a helping hand. So very synergistic combo. Great to have Hydra in front. He's also just tankier, so. Another reason I picked this team, because it just felt like it would be a lot safer. Tholes is doing great damage right now, but you see right there I hold on to my Talons because I wasn't sure it was the right turn. Though to be fair, it might have been better to use it and just take somebody off the board rather than let them continue attacking. However, I had Steel Forge, we had more than enough block, it wasn't a huge problem. The slime is also immune to poison, which I'm happy and very thankful that we haven't been fighting too many slimes. That would have been very annoying early on in the run, especially in Act 1. Oof. Yeah, kinda lucked out there, not gonna lie. There's vulnerable up with uproot. We have more poison daggers. I do have extra vulnerable charges now thanks to the poison knife, so it's pretty good for us. Push forward is really nice to find on Hydra. It's better than barricade. I get a purple blood rage on Bree. Figure it's really nice. I'm a little bit worried about the Hydra fight because there's a Hydra immune to poison, and that could be a really big challenge for us. So I at this point, I'm just concerned that we don't have the survivability that we need. And yeah, the Hydra fight was a problem. I'm very happy I found this shop. I was looking for armor, but I eventually just buy the Onyx ring because I didn't want to spend too much money on this shop. I wanted to save it more for the Act 3 shop if I could have better items. And here we go on the Hydra fight. It's a really tough one. Yomer was a tough fight, but not in the same way. Like, I didn't have to retry it at all. The Hydra fight, I did have to retry a few different times. Honestly, I thought my run might end and that it's probably better to go do the Hydras in Act 3 once your decks are a bit more refined. It gives you better options, you probably have better access to Sharp, and you have a few more tools at your disposal to tank all the Hydra damage, even though they're tougher too. I think it might just be a little bit better. So yeah, I'm going to show you a first attempt, and I believe it's not going to be a successful attempt. And then I'll show you the successful attempt right afterwards. There were a lot of attempts in between. I think like 3 different attempts in between. Like I said, very challenging fight, probably one of the hardest points of the run, or so I thought. But yeah, you can see the amount of poison that they put on me is quite a bit. Would have been good to have detoxify for sure. Maybe some buffer, maybe a little bit more dispel. All those things you could also take it with you into the Hydra fight, and if you wanted to do a little bit better than I am currently doing here, because this is not going to be good enough. Tholes is just going to die, and without Tholes we don't have as much damage as we need, even though Malaka can try her best. Everybody else is also just poisoned and on death's bed too, so they're not going to be able to take it. Like, we have Dispel, Hydra dies, everybody dies. Yeah, that was over. So transitioning into this, they get their first round, and trying a few different strategies. I had to learn when to use my Tholes, Talons card, because it's a very critical time to kill them all, or kill, I think, 2 heads in 1 turn when they're both taunting. So yeah, unfortunately the RNG on the draw here just also wasn't that good. We do get that 1 head down before it gets to attack, so we get to save a little bit of damage there. Neither Bree nor Hydra were drawing their talent cards early either, which made this way more difficult than it should have been. We get the Steel Forge, which, by the way, I had to like really tinker around with to make sure we get it at the right time. And then we also get Bree's talent card that gives everybody like 80 block, and Tholes gets up to 22 sharp, so we're looking a lot more stable, but we still didn't get the Talons card, even though Tholes is doing about 50 damage a pop with the poison darts. So still a little bit dangerous. Malaka is able to heal herself up so she doesn't die at the end of turn, but we still need to heal up Tholes so that he can survive a bit more, even though we're currently facing Hydra heads that don't get poisoned, or at least the last Hydra head that's taunting doesn't get poisoned at all, making it extremely difficult to fight. So yeah, fortunately we have Sharp and we have the raw damage. The guy in back, he's not immune to us at all, and the Noxious Fumes does enough damage, so looking really good. Bree gets a push forward, which is really great for her. And we have access to Titan Gauntlets here. It takes me a little bit to decide. I think the Hydra Egg's pretty good too. It does give a lot of regen, especially with the Chalice of Queens if we give it to Maluka, sorry. And we have a little bit of energy on Hydra because his ring wasn't too good. I don't know where I should go here, so I decided I'm probably going to go for the red portal, because the red portal just seemed the easiest to get through. I don't know a lot about the yellow portal. I know a good bit about the red one, and I know taking the champion arena route, getting the wall for Hydra is a really good armor, gives him more fortify. There is Yin Yang badge. This is really hard to decide on. Blackguard's pretty good too. Applying dark on hit. It's also very good for the final fight, means that you don't die to hand check popping people, which would be very, very nice for Mulaka. So yeah, it's a tricky buy. However, I do think Yin Yang badge is worth it overall because it's going to give us a lot of Sanctify on all the monsters, meaning that anyone who has attacks, which will be all of our heroes in the form of shield smashes for Bree and Heiner, and for Tholes, he obviously just has a bunch of small weapons and Mulaka attacks as well, so they'll all heal up. Here's the deck changes. I upgraded Battle Shout to make it cheaper. Couldn't upgrade Push Forward, unfortunately. Would have been nice if I could have done that. Wish I could have upgraded Throw Bolas too. Just didn't have the money. Last Stand also would have been a nice upgrade, but I don't need it yet because I'm not taking the Fortify on Bree. I do take Wicked Craftsman on Tholes. I have now 2 upgraded hidden weapons in my deck, so now I'll be pulling out a bunch of those small weapons, as well as putting some small weapons in. I have a Vile Gas. I'm looking for another Vile Gas. I want 2 before the end game. Unholy Storm is great, but I'm not really sure I need it. I keep Healing Rain in the deck because it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be difficult to fight the Fire Boss without any rain. I keep Delay Response in the deck as well and upgrade it so that it is cheaper because Mulaka is having energy problems. She's generally having a little bit of difficulty playing all her cards. Here's another money option. It doesn't look too challenging. We're pretty resilient against Thorns due to all of our block that we get. So I felt fairly confident I could take it. Plus I still have the Purge Thorns card because I thought there might be challenges like this. So I just decided to keep it. It's not the worst card in the world. It does apply poison and some vulnerability. So pretty good. Not a bad take. Heiner is able to get dispelled, so he's going to be pretty survivable. We did upgrade the push forward, we changed the push forward to give 2 fast to everybody instead of 1 fast to everybody else and 3 fast to him, because Heiner doesn't need to be fast. And yeah, now we have Bree given a good grinding wheel to Tholes, so he's going to be pretty sharped up. Later on in the run, we're going to be wanting to give the grinding wheels to Mulaka. Or Maluka. God, I'm sorry, I can't change my habit. I'm just gonna call her Mulaka. That's just a thing that Melik and I have done forever. Sorry. Yeah, this fight doesn't seem too challenging. Once we get our Steel Forge up and once Bree gets like 100 block up to start us out with, we're pretty unstoppable. It's just a matter of time till they die to the poison in the dark. So we're getting a little bit faster at our fights too. It feels very nice. We have 2 shield charges in Heiner's deck, so he's actually being able to dish out a good amount of damage as well. And we take no damage from that fight. We're at full health. Heiner does need a little bit more energy, so I take a Blood Rage. Another hidden weapon seems pretty good to me. I do want to upgrade it. I'm not sure which way I want to upgrade it, whether I want it to be blue, but we'll figure that out at a later date. So we have Squirrel Arena. Yeah, that's what this place is called, Squirrel Arena. And it's not very challenging of a fight. I'm not super worried about anything outside of the Minotaur fight because I think we have enough damage, but it's been a while since I fought them Act 3. I don't know how fast they'll end up summoning their Minotaur ally, and we're a little bit grindy instead of fast at taking out enemies. So yeah, we are keeping enough we're keeping enough mark/vulnerability in our deck in order to take out single targets pretty quick. As you can see, everybody's up to 7 vulnerable, thanks to Heiner having that passive and Bree having the extra vulnerable charges. So they're taking a lot of damage. We definitely need them to. Even though poison doesn't benefit off of vulnerability, the rest of our cards do. So it was definitely worth having. It's also nice that vulnerability only goes down 1 a turn instead of 2 a turn. Heiner is able to dish out quite a bit of damage, although he does go fairly low, which is a bit of a concern for the next fight because the Wizard Sorcerer in back does a huge Powerball. We get a upgraded Bouncing Shield in Act 3 very early to get this. It's super, super good. It's the one that you want too. It purges your entire block, but it does 1.5 damage, so... With the amount of block we're getting onto Bree, that's a good like 400, 500 damage. In the late game, it'll be probably around 600 damage, depending on how powerful Bree is feeling and how resistant the enemies are. Delay response has also been nice to give to Heiner. It's something we can also give to Tholes, though generally I want to keep his speed up. However, Heiner can often make Tholes faster again, even if we do slow him down. We have a Sharpen in the deck that's finally upgraded. I hadn't upgraded it like before, so that was a little bit of a mistake. I would say definitely make sure you upgrade your Sharpens. It does stay in the deck, unlike Grinding Wheel, so it's a nice way to recur sharpening. And I probably could have afforded another one in Bree's deck, to be very honest, though that could have gotten in her way of blocking and supporting in other ways, so it's a bit hard to say. Probably one more Sharpen wouldn't be a bad thing to test out. At this point, steel skins are very cheap for Hydra, which is great. Or, I'm saying great a lot. Maybe we should try excellent, which is nice, fun, good. I don't know, there's a lot of different things. We have another Dark Concoction, which does scale based on the amount of dark on them. I do want to take a Grinding Wheel on Hydra, however, it's not upgraded currently, so it's a little bit of a dead card until we upgrade it, because there's no reason to upgrade Hydra himself. Divine Power is a good card on Mulaka, but I don't think we're having trouble with Powerful, and we don't have that much Bless in the first place, and then in the Energize it gives is very limited, so I opt not to take it. Giving Grinding Wheel to Tholes, we don't go Powerful yet, because I'm planning just to stack up Poison, and then hopefully get to max Powerful next turn. And Tholes has a little bit of ways to make himself powerful as well. So, does a pretty good job, and that's a very, very damaged Minotaur in round 1. We do over 1,000 damage straight away. Really good start. He's gonna take even more because of the poison. So, round 2, easy. We had 4 rounds to get an excellent, not even close to necessary. And then we get double Helping Hand early on. Ooh, that would have been such a good Black Talon's turn. But we did a fine job otherwise. Now here is a challenge. We aren't level 4 yet, so we don't have our max cards. It's a Seahorse. Seahorses are always my bane because of 23 speed. Armageddon is very terrifying. It's a meteor in every hero, and we're not that fast at killing. I do opt to take it because if we remove 2 cards, I figure even if somebody dies, we can remove a Death's Door from their deck straight away and 1 other card. It's a good money save if this works out nicely. And that's ends up being a very big if. I honestly probably should not have taken this challenge for my own sanity. I'm going to, again, this was way harder than the Hydra Fight. This took a little bit longer. The Hydra Fight, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 attempts. Probably like 4 attempts, yeah. This was like 6 attempts on trying to figure out exactly how to spread the damage. Part of it was because of the other guys here, not just the Seahorse, but the Seahorse putting a card in your deck that damages you and deals lightning to everybody is pretty nasty. Tholes also his deck ended up being way too expensive. As you can see, I couldn't play most cards. Hydra dying is a sure sign that the rest of your team is going to die if you don't win this round. I didn't even notice that Scourge Barrier was going to put enough dark on Mulaka to have her die, which meant that there's no way we're killing these guys fast enough. And the third guy is immune to dark, so there's a lot of challenges to overcome this run. I should definitely have considered the other monsters a little bit more before taking the Meteor challenge. This is... yeah, this was not okay. The Seahorse is still the priority. I want to kill him before he slows down the entire team. And I also am not drawing the block cards for Hydra and Bree unless I do things just right. Like, Hydra doesn't get Steelforge turn 1, which would be very nice on helping him survive. I found out that I couldn't play the taunt card on Hydra, otherwise he just dies round 1 thanks to all the meteors. Sorry, not round 1, but round 2 he just dies, because I can't make him go fast enough to speed up and block before the other guys go. So, yeah. I do have a Black Talon's turn that's okay. As you can see, I don't have a lot of hits that I could do. This is like the maximum I could get out of Black Talons. Thankfully, we do kill the Seahorse before they go on round 2, which is a necessity to survive. Vile Gas is doing a good amount of damage, assuming that the monster has about 100 poison on them. But Mulaka, because she has so much dark and has so little HP, she can't actually attack the Heron to kill it, which would have been very nice to do. Thankfully, Hydra has a lot of energy to play all his cards. He does able to play Steelforge and Fortify, but Bree nearly goes down and dies. So I'm pretty lucky that the meteors didn't all focus her, although I think most of them did. The RNG on this was not very good for me, and yet I felt like I got sort of lucky in just being able to win this fight. Oh, and then a Scarab appears just for fun on round 3, and it's the Scarab that doesn't just escape immediately. No, it's the one that likes to throw fireballs. So yeah, there goes Bree, there goes Tholes. At least Mulaka's around to do a little bit more damage. However, the guy who's in 3rd is immune to dark, so not much point in that. At this point, it's really up to Hydra and shield charges to survive. There's no chance of me getting that Scarab, and yeah, the last meteor just goes on Maluka for fun, you know? Just because she needed to die right there. That was what the game decided. Believe it or not, this was by far the best I felt like I could do in this fight. At this point, I just wanted it to be over and me to actually have a chance at victory. Hydra by himself for 1v1 is pretty hard to take out with the steel skins giving him so much block each turn. He can just about get up to 400 all the time. We do go into round 9 Doom territory, but we managed to take him out. Honestly, that underwhelming victory felt very whelming to me because that fight was so hard. I thought that was the end of the run, and it ends up being actually worth it because I could win, and I take out a few more cards in people's decks that I wanted to earlier but didn't have the gold for. So, your choice on whether you think that was the right thing to do or not. It ends up being, in hindsight, but felt like the wrong thing to do for my sanity. Last Guardian is the pickup for Hydra. Bree gets her super good level 4. Bree probably gets the best level 4 here. I'm thinking about Thulz's. Thulz is okay. Malaka's level 4 sucks. It's just dark and regen each turn. It's not that bad. And you know, because I had such a good time taking the meteor and that went like fantastic, I figure why not take a challenge here? I need a free card upgrade. That would be very useful to me. So I take Cold Hands, which I was assuming wasn't going to be that bad. However, what I didn't realize was that it applied 10 Frost to everybody at the start, meaning that Bree was actually slower than the Fiend, and the Fiend slows the entire team down so that everybody got hurt before we were able to block or do anything. Meaning that, you know, nearly everybody died straight away. If Malaka had died straight away without me being able to do anything, I think that would have been GG. Like, there's probably no coming back from that. We wouldn't have had any healing. As it is, we don't even have enough damage with the mitigate that they put on themselves to hit anyone. So we're not applying Dark on hit unless we have a more powerful card. So this is going to be very much a poison grindy fight. Thulz's main power is that he's able to hit for a little bit and do some damage, but we can't even get rid of the Cold Hands because the Cold Hands enchantment debuff only goes away if you have, what's it called? If you do damage on hit. So thankfully, that bouncing shield that we got earlier is able to take out someone straight away and do a good chunk of damage to the other guys. The two characters in back, the Eyeball and the Thorny Boy, are really annoying. Thorny Boy summons mosquitoes. The Eyeball puts amnesias in everybody's decks. Like, I think I want to say like every other turn, and then it turns into like every turn. I don't know, it's something stupid. Hydra and Bree end up doing probably more of the damage this run, or this fight, than most of the damage Thulz and Malaka puts out, but yeah. Our Sharp also is not benefiting off of us. Or sorry, our Frost damage is not benefiting off of Sharp. So Malaka's Dark application really seeing us through. The Poison application from Thulz is also just what's getting us through. Very painful fight. Ends up not being like too bad, though. Definitely turned a probably like excellent fight into a good fight, which I'll take after the Meteor one because I didn't have to retry this fight at all. This fight was very, very easy by comparison. Here we also just rely on poison to die, so we get the good. I don't want Hydra to have too many grinding wheels in his deck. We get another, we get a shield charge on Bree, which is going to be very good for her to have. We get the free upgrades here, so we have a lot of gold cards to upgrade, like the sharpen or the grinding wheel and the last stand. I do want to make sure Vile Gas stays in the deck, but I upgrade Unholy Storm because it takes a little bit longer. And here's one of the fun parts of the game. Watch along if you want to try this mini game. I enter going as far as possible. I also make a slightly separate recording so that I can slow down the footage later. You'll see a little bit of a time glitch there, because I need to slow it down in order to follow the golden shards properly, otherwise I will lose it. I actually followed it this time, wow. But yeah, there you go. If you guessed the second to the right, then you were correct. Very, very good golden shards income for us to go this way. I didn't know what Thulz's option here was, so I thought about trying it just because I thought maybe it'd be a better option. All it does is it lowers the amount of enemies we have to fight. So Hydra could have gotten a second one of his starting passive card, which would have been much better probably overall. Because that's a lot of fortify, and it gives him another turn of taunting, and yeah. So anyways, I needed to figure out what Tholes did on this because I'm just a curious person. No other reason really. But it ends up not being that bad. Hydra doesn't need that card, it just would have been better than the outcome that we had here, because this fight's not too bad of a fight regardless. There's no champions on it. And with our setup, they don't exactly resist us the best. So now we get a purple bouncing shield as well, and we get barrage on Tholes. So I figured I could take a barrage because he is an on-hit person, and 5 attacks for a single card can be very good. It's a little bit expensive, so I do want to get Adrenalins in his deck, but I figure you tend to find Adrenalins most of the time. They're a silver and gold card. Not too difficult to find, even in the later stages of the game. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that ends up happening. No spoilers here. This fight I don't expect to be too difficult, other than I don't have a good amount of damage to poke through the main driving body. I don't know what to call that. So like, is that a chassis, a cabin? I don't know. I can't poke through his cabin too easily through all the blocks, so he would do a laser beam on us if I try to hit him with a bunch of small weapons. So I opt to go through the face and the cannon head because that would likely be better. We do take them out on round 2, which is a very fast kill actually on the round 2 for this team. That Noxious Fumes did so much damage. That was like 400 damage like straight away if you count the Dark Explosion. Yeah, Malaka is doing great. The Noxious Fumes is a lot better of a scaler than I thought it was, and I already thought it was like pretty decent. Thankfully we did have enough damage to just get straight through the block there with the amount of sharp that we put on, so ended up not being that difficult at all. And the Barrage gets the kill by a long shot. Barrage plus Talons is so much damage, I love it. Here's a Chalice of Queens, but it's already purple. I want to get Stone Amulet on Hydra, but I think the wall is just better. And now Malaka gets a Chalice of Queens that's purple. Also, here's a purple Last Stand that all we have to do is fight a slime on one enemy. This is like one of the best deals in the game. Hydra gets it, which is still very good because that's a free 3 cards, or sorry, free three blocks. So we're looking to pick up some really expensive blocks in both Breeze and Hydra's decks now. Citadel being the best one, of course. But there's some other good ones out there too. Having another push forward is also nice to get in Hydra's deck. We have another way to speed everybody up. And it's helpful if Bree ends up getting slowed earlier on. So we take out the dragon because we don't want to be frozen. Tholes is just doing work. He has his passive now. Oh yeah, Tholes' passive, that's right. It is actually pretty decent. It is a empty hand, so if he loses all the cards in his hands, then he gets to draw 5 more and get 3 energy. There's a grinding wheel. I doubt we're gonna need it. I probably could have finished him off if I just like blocked better, but we had a bouncing shield on Bree anyways. So there's our purple Last Stand, very nice to have. I get a Poison Daggers because it's a small weapon that hits twice and we can make it cost 1 in the future, which would mean that it's free if I use the cards to get out of my deck. I figure I have the damage to get through this fight, even though this on-hit Apply Decay and Darkness can be quite scary. But if we get enough block early on, then they never hit you, right? So what's the worry? Bree, however, does not get her block cards, so and Hydra goes just way too slow. So they do get to hit us. Fun. Yeah, a lot of challenges here that end up being pretty difficult. But still, not the most difficult things in this run. Which, you know, a little bit of a tease for later. We get some good cards to put into our deck there. I do like the sort of randomness of the small weapons run. It's fun to try out. We have our Talons card, so you can see Barrage plus Talons just means that like I click on one enemy and they die. It's great. Purple Bouncing Shield is also 2 times the damage of the block, so if you have like 400 block, that's 800 base damage. If you have Powerful on top of that, let's just say you have enough to get 50% Powerful, then you're, yeah, doing like God, what is it, 50% powerful? That's 1200 damage. If they have no resistances. Bouncing Shield's an incredible card. I will take it most times I get it on people who block a lot. Get another Piercing Howl on Bree because I'm actually afraid I don't have enough speed manipulation as well as vulnerability. I know that my pets are probably going to die in the last fight, so I don't want to become too reliant on Slimy giving me my vulnerability every turn. And we're going to need vulnerability to get through the resistances of the Archon. Vile Gas, doing pretty good. We're not getting up to 200 poison yet. There's probably like a way I could have built Tholes a little bit better to get up to 200 poison faster. I felt like his deck was just too expensive. I was experimenting with a lot of different small weapons and expensive cards, so it makes sense that it ended up being that way. We do get a very nice Bouncing Shield off of Bree there. I was confident in doing it because Hydra was taunting with like a million block, so I figured it would be okay. I want to save my Barrage for a really good turn. I was worried he was going to heal up a lot more than he did, but we ended up getting pretty lucky. Last Stand is not coming out at the right time, but it's still pretty okay. It gives us a little bit of speed, a little bit more block. It's nice to have. Bree gives even more speed, and we get more Sharpening Knives. It's a bad turn because he's putting Ashes in our deck, but it's still good enough to kill him. So we're dishing out some pretty good damage. At this point, I'm feeling fairly confident. Neurotoxin is another poison scaling damage, and it's a nice different form of damage. It doesn't get benefits off of Sharp, unfortunately, because we don't have Gustav, but it's still pretty good. Volcanic Axe, I figured might be a decent take on Hydra. It gets buffed in the same way that like Blunt does in Fortify, so it's not really a debuff. It's just more fire damage, so might as well take it. Stimulant Pills on Bree, I'm hoping to get another fast armor on her and make up for the speed loss of not having fast straight away. But here's our Act 4 shop. Very important shop. I could take Justicar Ring on Maluka, and we could apply more fire, but at the end of the day, we're not really scaling with fire, so there's not much point. I opt to re-roll instead. Curse Dagger is a nice on-hit dark thing, and if I didn't have a purple Chalice of Queens, I probably would have taken it. However, I am able to get a Vile Ring, so for every dark charge we we apply poison, which is pretty good. I also need armor on Maluka because she's way too squishy right now, and that's where Crusader Helm comes in. Gives us a good amount of block in the beginning, a little bit of extra Fortify, and a lot of resistances. It's a good armor overall. Not the best. Could have had a better one for sure, like the one that makes her immune to dark, but that wasn't available. At this point, I'm pretty disenchanted with the notion of spikes in applying poison that way. It's just a little bit slower than I want and takes too much energy to do. So if I could get a double Thorns card or a few double Thorns cards on Bree, it might be worth it. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to take it, despite having dipped into Thorns a little bit. I don't know how helpful it's been throughout the rest of this run either, so it's probably a little bit of wasted perk points, to be honest. I upgraded Mass Dispel. I figure that's a really good one to keep in your deck, or rather, I know that Mass Dispel is really good for grindy teams. I finally pick up Bane. I didn't find any for Tholes. I think actually Tholes had he had okay luck for his card pulls, but we didn't find Weapons Cache either, and Weapons Cache is awesome. It is discover 3 small weapons, put them in your hand, and if you have it upgraded in yellow, it's a 4-cost 3 small weapons into your hand that cost 0, and those small weapons stay in the deck, assuming that they don't vanish normally. I do want to upgrade Vile Gas though, and if I upgrade Vile Gas, I can't buy an upgraded weapon cache. So I buy an unupgraded one, and I figure upgrading the rest of our cards here for Bree and Hydra and Maluka will end up helping us more so than just the light upgrade we could get for the weapon cache. Sort of like not putting all our eggs in one basket. It's the opposite of putting all our eggs in one basket, putting them in multiple baskets. Yeah, something like that, you know. At least 3. No, maybe 4, because we have 4 characters, yeah. Putting it in 4 baskets. We have Clarity here. So I upgrade that in Maluka's deck because I want to keep her as sort of a supporting role. She is very good at getting rid of the Sanctify charges that come up a lot in the Act 4 area, which is the thing that only upgraded Clarity does. It also stays in the deck if I do it that way, so I figure it's a good thing to do. We're going to go down the middle. I actually wasn't sure which way I wanted to go. I thought about maybe getting the Emerald Staff for Maluka so that she could have a easier time playing bigger spells, but it's not really what she was trying to do anyways. Plus they have to cost 5, and I don't think she has a single 5 cost in her deck, so I didn't worry about it too much. Death's Reach is nice to play if we get the chance, but only is a way to apply Vulnerable and make them take more damage from Dark Explosions if we absolutely need them to. Otherwise, it's not the Dark Explosion run. Man, that run was fun. It was also hard to do, but it was fun. Bolas here goes pretty well. I'm not too worried about this fight. None of these guys scare me too much outside the Monk, who does a lot of damage that ignores block. So he can be kind of annoying. Let me just get a little bit of water here. But yeah, overall, pretty chill fight. If not the fastest. I do take the challenge here because I figured why not. I forgot that the Anubis mummy in the back there ends up summoning a guy. If I had remembered, I probably would have targeted him down a little bit faster. We're not exactly weak to any of these guys though, so outside of the Monk, who does damage through block and does damage like equal to the amount of block that you have, it wasn't too scary. And Noxious Fumes just blows up that Lancer. That was some real good damage. Heiner's just chilling at 400 block constantly. Oh, you know what? I should have had Steel Skin in Bree's deck. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, but she's getting a ton of Fortify too, thanks to Heiner. Because I also have it able to stack on her. Oh my god. How did I not realize that till just now? I mean, it would have cost 2 in her deck, but still. This is a really hard choice between an upgraded Citadel and an Omnipotence Purple in Heiner's deck. I do think about it for a bit, but I go with Omnipotence Purple because the thing that I want to be able to do is find Steel Forge first turn. If I can do that, I feel fairly comfortable surviving turns 2 and 3. So that's why I opt for Omnipotence, even though having a upgraded Citadel would have been really cool too. But it's, I don't know. Both are great cards. It's a good problem to have to get these 2 really good cards. And here I do use it. I already had Steel Forge, so didn't really need it then, but got a few extra block cards, and now I feel pretty okay. These gun guys in the back, both the light version and the dark version get rid of Sharp, which is kind of annoying. They specify Sharp, so the passive that makes your Sharp not be able to be dispelled is not effective here. And they turn it into Poison if they're the dark guys, or Bleed if they're the light guys. So I don't really like the Gunners. The Gunners are annoying for this team because we're relying on Sharp a little bit. But again, we don't have all our eggs in one basket here, so we're relying on Poison and Dark as well. Sorry, I'll stop with the eggs. Maybe. I don't know. I made Eggs Benedict this morning. It was very tasty. Maybe we'll go with more eggs. All the eggs in a basket. All right. Back to the run. So yeah, we're doing a good amount of damage here. These guys are super resistant to Dark, but even so, because we have something I forgot to mention early on, but one of the synergies of Poison with Dark, or Shadow damage in general, is that you can have 0.3% of poison charges, or sorry, lower the resistance, or rather, each poison charge lowers the resistance of enemies, lowers the shadow resistance of enemies by 0.3% per charge. Whew, finally managed to say it. This means that they'll be taking more from Dark Explosions as well as just shadow damage in general, meaning that we have a good way to reduce vulnerabilities, at least for Maluka, who's dealing exclusively shadow damage. And when she's all sharpened up, she'll be benefiting off of that, well, I would say even more, but I think it's even more because it's sort of a damage multiplier if they're in the negatives. So yeah, even more. It's very nice. We are able to take out a person before they go round 2, which is good. We're not going to take too much damage. Unfortunately, like, a weird part about focusing guys down with souls is that you don't kill someone very quickly rather than going with poison, which means there's not a lot of poison for the Noxious Fumes to scale off of. So it's definitely a better boss killer than it is a sort of floor clearer, though it's a good floor clearer too. As you can see, this Noxious Fumes just takes out the dude about 500 health, so can't say that's bad. Heiner also just does that casually with having like 400 block and a shield charge. Pretty good. I thought about taking Whirlwind because it does scale off of our Fortify, and it might have been fun to take a purple Whirlwind, But yeah, here's another Chalice of Queens, by the way. There's a Cloak of Speed I was looking for Bree. It does mean we're having another source of, what's it called? Vulnerability go away. But if I take Netherblade on Tholes, I figure I can deal vulnerability just passively. However, that does mean I'm going to be applying 3 less poison per hit, so it took a little bit to decide this. Ultimately, I felt like it was worth it though. I finally get rid of Toxic Rain because I don't feel like that's a good card to have in my deck anymore. It's not a small weapon, it doesn't help me. Yeah, I can't. It's not something I can search, and it's usually just getting in the way. So even though it is cheap and applies poison to everybody, applying poison to everybody is going to matter less and less now. So I do this challenge in the next fight where they have freezing, and this is another fight that I try. I want to say this is like the 4th attempt that we try this fight. I really, really wanted to be able to survive with people because I know the Guardians are going to be a bit of a challenge. I didn't expect this fight to be as hard as it was, but the main reason that it ended up being difficult is because we couldn't get a lot of Fortify, or rather, we couldn't keep a lot of block up because the monk, the light monk, dispels Fortify, and he goes last, or rather, yeah, he goes like after Hydra, so he does a lot of damage through block, then dispels all your Fortify, and then you don't get to keep any of the block that you had. Anyways, it was a nightmare of a fight. Plus the stuns, of course, were really terrible. I figured with the taunts that I had available, I could have all the stuns go into one person and it would end up making it not too bad. We also still had that healing rain in our deck, so I thought Bellafor wouldn't be the worst to fight. But man, was I wrong. This was a really tough fight. I mean, I know this challenge is really, really hard, but I had some tools to deal with it, so I hoped it would go a little bit smoother. This was another point in the run that I thought I might have just lost, and I was very disheartened. We do manage to take some guys out. The prioritization here was also fairly difficult because the Knight alone just does a ton of damage. I ended up doing a lot of card manipulating in terms of like trying to figure out who to give Inspire to at what times so that I could get my Steel Forge at the right time. But yeah. This was a lot of attempts later. This guy is also just so tanky, he's hard to kill fast, but we do eventually get him with the Noxious Fumes, and man, it was a relief to kill. Entomb, I just don't think it's a good card. It's just, I don't know of a time that I'm going to want to discard a lot just for dark charges. We do at least get to benefit off of the upgrade that I wanted, so I knew we had a lot of cards that we could upgrade, like I especially wanted to upgrade Weapons Cache. So it was for a good cause, just almost losing the run. Here we fight the Guardians. Straight up, I did not have to fight the Guardians the second time. If I did, I could have chosen my card order a little bit better because I made a few mistakes. With the Last Stand, we get Stockade into a Challenging Shout, so Bree's going to be taunting a little bit more. Challenging Shout, by the way, was a very decent pickup, especially for the Frost. So Bree has 8 Mitigate on her. She's not going to be taking too much damage at all, especially with the block at 222 without Hydra even going yet. I am focusing the guy in back because I'm hoping I reduce his shadow charges enough to kill him before he goes on round 3. That's generally my strategy with high damage teams, though this team isn't really the highest damage. Thankfully, we do have damage over time in the form of poison and even dark application being on enemies, so it's pretty good. And you'll see what I mean about the Sanctify and Dark coming into play a lot here as well. So this is the reason we took Yin Yang Badge. Sorry, I did that a while ago, and like I haven't really talked about its effects on the run at all. But everybody's been staying at pretty full health because one, Mulaka applies a good amount of Dark, so she heals up people pretty often. And then 2, we're getting up to like 100 Sanctify. So that's a lot of Dark. It's pretty good. The plan of attacking the Shadow guy is going pretty well, but soon enough they're going to start healing and off of every card that we play, and we play a lot of cards, and there's not really any ways around that, unfortunately. Thankfully, we do keep them at 7 vulnerability at all times, and the poison stacks, like, they don't dispel or anything, so they do grind out with you, but Tholes is not good at holding back. So I do opt to just start fighting the light guy in front. He's going to take more to shadow damage anyways. Look at that. He just popped for like 500 with the Noxious Fumes. So really I need to wait around for Mulaka's Noxious Fumes because it's the most card efficient way to kill these guys. Though if I have good damage with Hydra, I can also have him play a few block cards and then do the damage that he was healing the guy for. So yeah, basically getting them up to like 400 block each time. I knew it was a thing I'd be doing, but it's okay. And there we go, yeah. Malaka does just enough damage to keep them basically basically at what they were. So, not the best. I could have played my enchantments a little bit better too. I think I end up losing 1 or 2 to that, but Noxious Fumes finished off the light guy. Made sure not to play too many cards. Malaka survives at 1 health, so pretty darn lucky there. Very happy I bought her that armor. By the way, Thul's also survived at like 1 health in the Hydra Fight earlier, so like if I didn't buy the Onyx like plus 20 health item, I would have lost that fight for sure, and the Hydra would have been the end of me. It was a very good intuitive purchase there that I forgot to mention. Yeah. Yeah, the amount of the amount of times like I go down to 1 HP on this run was way more than I like doing. At this point, it's just a grind. Once there's only 1 enemy out and I have a good blocker in Hydra, who can basically tank 1 guy for days, I just have to be careful about the amount of cards that I play, giving myself powerful when I need it, giving myself max damage and block when I need it, just to survive the turns. But thankfully everybody's staying at full health because this dude has 85 Sanctify on him. And Malaka's Noxious Fumes are really what's finishing the job here, as well as just waiting for poison to deal damage to him. I do get sneak in an attack there with Hydra while he's doing some good damage, and I wait for Noxious Fumes and Malaka because, yeah, there we go. That does it. Malaka's picking up a lot of meditates over the course of this act, which is very good because, like I said, she was having some energy problems. So here we get some really awesome choices. This is a difficult one for me because there's a lot of good things here. I noticed that Tholes is also having a lot of energy problems, so Destiny could be a good pick for him, even though Netherblade is one of our best ways of applying Vulnerable right now, assuming our pet dies, our Purple Slimy. So there's arguments to take it. Plus Kingmaker on Tholes could do work. I'd get him very blessed up, but yeah, he's not often taking the most damage, and he wouldn't always heal, so it's very difficult to do. I am able to get a Purple Crusader's Helm. We level up, so we get the 2 energy buffs on Bree and Hydra. Tholes gets his 2... Every time he plays a small weapon for 2 small weapons, he gets a small weapon randomly added to his hand, which there's some good and some bad ones, which we'll find both of in the coming fights here. Malaka gets just plus 2 more Dark Application and plus 30% damage, so she is going to be carrying fairly hard now, especially with the Death's Reach damage and having more focus sharp on her, which we'll start doing around now, because with the 2 additional small weapons that get randomly added to Tholes' hand every time he plays them a turn, he has a much higher chance to get Sharpening Knives, not including the one that we have in his deck. So there's going to be less need to sharpen him up, though right now it looks like I am still sharpening him up because, I don't know, it seems like a good thing to do. Destiny was definitely the right choice to take on Tholes. His deck was way too expensive with the Barrage and all the other cards that I was having, so it was a quick fix for messing up the deck build on Tholes, honestly. I definitely, like, I needed to get Adrenalines on him, and I just never found them. I could have bought at least 1, which would have helped a bit, but yeah. Yeah, he got hurt there. Not... yeah. I want to say I messed up the decks in, like, the 4th quarter here. I don't think they quite came out right. Like, Hydra's deck was perfect, but Tholes without Destiny would have been very questionable, to say the least. Now, that Barrage being lowered to 1 cost and also working with Talons, that felt very good. Another Meditate for Malaka here. I don't go for the Neurotoxin, because I don't think I need it. So yeah, we get some good cards here. Another Crusader Helmet if I really wanted to. A Viral Ring purple does give us another Dark Charge, which is cool. So Maluka gets to do even more Dark Charges. And now I'm like, maybe if Bree gets Thorns every turn, she'll do better. So I take the Porcupine weapon. Her weapon, as it was drawing her a card every time she played a skill, which was kind of good, kind of bad, because sometimes I didn't want to draw the cards. I don't know. Overall, probably a worse thing to have than the, like, skill that every time you play a book, you draw a card and give an Inspire to a random hero. It would have been much better to have that weapon instead. It would have been even better to have the upgraded version of that where you give Inspire to all heroes. That was sort of my plan with Bree and Inspire in the long run anyways. But I didn't end up getting that weapon or taking it. I think I had the option to once and I just didn't do it. Here I opt for a cheaper altar because I'm like, hey, why not? Like, I don't need too many cards upgraded, or I only have one in mind that I really want to do. I have enough shards for it, so let's go for the cheaper. And if I get it, then I can upgrade even more cards. So I upgrade Barrage. Since I have Destiny, I upgraded to make it cost more and give me Sharp, so that Thils is even better at sharpening himself. We have the ability to upgrade Citadel if I really want, but I upgrade Bouncing Shield instead in Heiner's deck because Heiner doing a good Bouncing Shield could be very, very damaging. I thought about upgrading Uproot here, but I figure I'm going to take out Uproot actually with Maluka and her heal at the campsite. And I upgrade Blood Rage to stay in the deck because Heiner needs just a little bit of extra energy. Honestly, 2 energy, a cycle is exactly what he needs. I still have Black Karmas going out of the deck because the more things that go to the deck in Mulaka, or the more things that go out of Mulaka's deck means she's going to be able to play Noxious Fumes twice every turn, basically, after round 4. Or at least that was the plan. I don't have quite enough things going out of her deck. I should have optimized for that a little bit better. Like probably having 1 less clarity or having it just be a base clarity that goes out of the deck, things like that. So definitely a lot of ways I could have improved my deck here. You may wonder why I'm talking about improving my deck so much when things are going fairly smooth, outside of taking challenges and almost losing to like every challenge I've taken this run. And that's because it gets very, very challenging in the final fights here. So this Dark Monk, again, I'm a little bit afraid of. He's going to do a lot of damage to me through block, and I don't like that. So I want to prioritize him and take him out before he does that on round 2. Thankfully, I am able to do that. He's going to die to fire and bleed, and there's nobody healing him. So now we just have a guy who disarms and a guy who silences going. So Bree isn't going to be able to do her attacks, but that's not really a big deal. We have Amnesia as well, so I don't know. This is fine. Weapons cache going down to 0 cost is really awesome. A free 3 small weapons in your deck forever for 0. Sign me up. Also, it goes in your hand first, so you get to play them. Very, very good. Noxious Fumes takes him out. We get an excellent fight. Went swimmingly. Getting in rage on Bree, which is great. She's going to have more energy. I take another Wicked Craftsman because I felt like it could have more permanent small weapons with the amount of helping hands I had. Hidden weapons I had, searching small weapons out of my deck. Because there's a really weird balance where you want to have definitely like over 20 cards in Thils' deck if he has 3 hidden weapons. Because you don't want to draw them last and you hope that there's still small weapons in your deck, which Wicked Craftsman helps do, even if you draw them in the same turn. So it's a nice little synergy there. Hidden weapons, reducing the cost of your small weapons by 1 is really nice. Here I fight Handcheck, and it is hard. So everybody dies except for Heiner, and Heiner has such a good deck that he's able to sustain every turn with this guy. Like, he has no problem going to 400 block every single turn with Steel Skin, even though he's losing almost all of it every turn. And he has a huge problem trying to do any damage with Shield Charge because Handcheck has like 75% resistance to fire, and we have almost no vulnerability on him. I thought about taking him out. However, I decided not to because if I have all my heroes with Death's Doors, the Archon fight's going to be really challenging. So this fight was by far the longest I spent on any fight in the game, which is saying a lot at this point because I spent a long time on a lot of the other fights too, all the challenges that I took that I shouldn't have. And it was... I'm not even sure what I did better. Like, it was a lot of trial and error on trying to kill the clones quickly. Ideally, you don't want the clones to go at all, so I had... it's hard to say. I didn't have quite enough speed for everybody to go faster than the clones, but I needed to take out at least 1 clone a turn so they weren't constantly healing. Sorry, I think I'm gonna get a little bit of water. No. I'll stay. So yeah, the clones, they're very resistant to the dark damage. unsurprisingly, meaning that Mulaka has a hard time taking them out. I am also putting Sharp on her rather than Tholes, because Tholes over the course of the fight can get himself up to 50 Sharp, and Mulaka can't. Mulaka can almost have no Sharp without the grinding wheels. So we prioritize her, make sure that she is getting her damaged up, because Tholes is going to be able to do that with sharpening knives anyways, as well as that barrage that's applying 2 Sharp per turn. I don't have a lot of good times to play Bouncing Shield outside of this turn. So purple Bouncing Shield for maximum damage. We want to kill at least this with Tholes if I can, which means I might need to use Black Talons here, because if I don't have the damage to get through to him. I don't get particularly lucky with my small weapons here either, so that was another thing making this a bit more difficult. And now I can finally start to stack a bit of poison on Handcheck himself, because at this point I should be able to kill the second clone before he goes. I know Heiner's going to have a big turn here because of the amount of times I did this fight. This is attempt like 7, I want to say. There were a few attempts that went all the way to round 11, and you can see me winning round 14. It's not usually what we do with Handcheck. He is particularly brutal after round 8. He just does basically his round 3 attack that you saw right there, where he he does a bunch of fire and then he turns all the fire into dark. He just does that over and over again, constantly. It's brutal. I don't know too many other characters that could possibly survive that long, except for Heiner. It's probably just Heiner, honestly. Maybe Yogur with enough vitality and heals straight off of that, but even then. Here's our double Noxious Gas. You can see we're doing about 1,000 damage on that turn. And my main goal at this point is just to win with at least one other person other than Heiner, because everybody else is dying too fast. There's a lot of times I have to not play a Bouncing Shield as well. Honestly, I could have gone down to 1 Bouncing Shield in Bree's deck, and that would have been better because she just doesn't get enough block late game. I do use it here just to get out of her deck, and honestly, I do that for no other reason other than to get it out of her deck. I mean, the 100 damage is great, but like that's nothing compared to what Tholes and Maluka are doing. Yeah. At this point, it's a difficult game. You can see Bree is almost dying. She's one of the ones I have to worry about the most. She doesn't have a ton of resistances on her. Part of that's my fault in the way I equipped her. So Tholes also doesn't have a ton of resistances. He just has HP. Which is one of the reasons that he needs all the block he can get too. So Heiner, instead of doing damage or blocking for himself most of the time, he ends up having to block for the team just so they can survive a turn. Meaning that he goes down a lot too. There was one fight I had him die actually because I wasn't able to play Last Guardian in time. And if Heiner dies, then the fight's over. It's just done. But here I'm getting pretty hopeful that maybe just like Mulaka, who has 300 block, can survive one more turn, we'll be fine. Though this is a turn where if he did his Dark Explosion or turn all fire into dark, he would totally kill us all. However, he doesn't. He does the fire damage based on your vanished cards. Or sorry, he wouldn't kill us all. He would definitely kill Bree and Tholes. So I get pretty lucky. It's not round 8. Round 8 is when he starts doing his turn fire into dark. And yeah, we're able to get the kill just with Tholes there. That took forever for me to actually do. It was very, very challenging. The Archon fight himself, not quite as challenging for this team. I don't have to repeat it at all. So I guess that's like, I don't know, orders of magnitude less challenging. I want to say the Handcheck fight, I tried it was at least 2 hours of fighting him. I was ready to give up too. Honestly, I will post runs if I get to Handcheck that I don't think can beat him. But because I knew Heiner could beat him, it felt so close, and then I didn't want to lose to the Archon right afterwards, so I opted to try out that fight a little bit more. This is a bit more of a grindy team, so I have to be very careful with how I'm applying Doom and putting cards on top of people's decks. I know I have to play them, but I don't want to play so many that I'm ruining my chances of dishing out as much damage as possible in the right turns. So this is quite the balancing act as well. I think I play it pretty darn good though. I am able to kill the Shadow Clone Handcheck before he goes this time, which is very nice because it means he's not going to get rid of all my energy and all my card draw. It's so bad if he goes on the second round. So I make sure that Bree actually doesn't speed up everybody so that we could have the Archon go before Tholes and summon his Shadow Clone, so that Tholes got 2 turns to dish out damage to him there. It was a good turn for Purple Bouncing Shield here, and at this point, it's just keeping the poison stacks up, making sure we do as much damage as we can during the turns that we can. The dark turn is a pretty good turn for us, even though he has the dark resistance and we're dealing dark damage. We have the shadow resistance minuses plus the 7 vulnerability on him, so I think he actually even goes into like the negative resistances, even on the dark turn. So pretty good for us. The evasion turn is kind of difficult for us to deal with, but it's a decent chance to apply more poison, so I'll take that. I got Revealing Flask in my deck too, which was kind of annoying. At least it turns his Insanity into Sanctify afterwards, so that's something. But it is kind of rough, and man, look at all that Sanctify we have on us. This is what I'm talking about with the Clarities, and making sure that we're not giving ourselves a bunch of Sanctify, because we have a really hard time killing people who heal themselves up every turn. And he would heal himself off of attacking all of us. So this ends up being pretty good. But you also can see we're missing out on a lot of vulnerability. That was one of the things that I was worried about in the hand check fight, or sorry, that came up in the hand check fight, is like he just wasn't vulnerable, so Hydra couldn't do damage because he was doing only fire damage. It was really, really tough, and that alone probably made it worth not taking the Lava Axe on Hydra, just because hand check couldn't die to him too fast. Blunt damage would have done a lot more. Still, I do save Maluka's vulnerability card because I know that this guy can get rid of the charges really fast, and we need to stack those up as much as possible because, as you can see, that right now we're dealing like, I don't know, that was like 900 damage in a single round, which is not where you want to be because you don't want to have to go like 14 rounds with this guy. We kind of did a lot of our damage early on. Tholes is able to get up to 50 sharp by himself. Maluka is up to 36 thanks to Hydra and Bree, and she's doing a lot of damage. Hydra unfortunately keeps getting his attack turns on the turns that this guy's 95% resistance to fire, even with like a bit of vulnerability on him. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Also, I end up putting a curse in Maluka's deck by giving her the Revealing Sight small weapons card, which was bad. That RNG was awful. But yeah, this is one of our main turns to hit him. He takes it pretty well. At least he's dying to the dark that he does to himself and the poison over time. Tholes almost goes down once again. Maluka is going down to 1 doom at this point, so I have to put more on her. This is very, very difficult. At this point, I'm like figuring I have to kill him this round. I don't play another poison daggers right there, by the way, because if I did, Tholes would have popped and died to dark. So I had to save his health right then. Very challenging fight. He does end up surviving that turn because I didn't pop his dark, so it was a very good choice because I needed him to do extra damage this turn and get him back up to 200 poison. That way Noxious Fumes could carry the rest of the way. If I got a shield charge off on him too, that's a good amount of damage, so I out to pop that. And Maluka has 1 turn on her. I thought that the run was pretty over, so I didn't play more cards on Bree. Tholes does end up using the Scroll of Resurrection that I bought on him, so he did die, but he's able to do just a little bit more, get a little bit more damage in. Not that he's doing a lot because he lost all the sharp and he got a little bit of powerful from Bree, but it's not enough. Thankfully, doesn't need to be. Maluka is going to be able to do 100 damage with this. Yeah, there's 500 more damage, and we killed the Archon. So that is our best score ever, thanks to all the challenges that I took that were ridiculous and totally killing me. Thank you for sticking around this long. If you did, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you leave a like, then let me know you enjoyed it a lot. Here's all the decks. Here's Hydra. Man, Hydra's deck was perfect. Wouldn't change a thing. Tholes definitely did the most damage there. 9,000 of it was through poison, so definitely poison is just not the best damage scaler. If you can't double it, it's not going to do a lot, but you have a lot of scaling cards off of poison, so that's going to be it. Thank you very much, and goodbye.